What's good, y'all? I've got some sick buffs from my boy Poliwrath, but before I get into them, I want to have a quick little disclaimer for anybody who's new here and just happens to be clicking on this video. Also, this is not Politoed Erasure. I should have said Politoed as well, my bad. Yeah, but for anybody who is new here, make sure you check out that Google Sheet in the description. If you click right here, it says search all moves here. You can check out all 600 plus move buffs and changes in this hack. They are extremely extensive, listed out into dozens and dozens of different categories for your viewing convenience, by type, by category, by effect, whatever it may be. There's tons of new moves, priority moves, Draco Meteor type moves, all types of crazy important stuff. So yeah, really do give this Google Sheet a good look. I would honestly recommend just bookmarking it and looking at all the Pokemon buffs and changes if this type of thing interests you. If it also interests you, make sure you subscribe to the channel. I usually say this at the end of the videos, but I'm gonna start saying it at the beginning because that would be pretty cool. Make sure you drop a like, leave a comment down below as well. Helps with the algorithm, all that fun stuff. But with that being said, I want to get into the Poliwrath buffs and also Politoed. I'm gonna be like sidelining Politoed a lot, not because I dislike them, just because they're a lot more boring than Poliwrath, in my opinion, especially like in terms of the buffs. Not that Politoed's bad, because it's not. Anything with, well-rounded, like it's bulky, it's fast, it's strong, it's got drizzle, like it's a good Pokemon, of course. But Poliwrath is the one I prefer more, so I'm going to be talking more about it. Also because it just got more buffs and reworks, while Politoed is like pretty straightforward. So Poliwrath, 140 base attack. By this hack standards, that's like not crazy at all, especially because it doesn't have an explicit boosting ability. Of course, in the rain, it's incredibly powerful, but that's like no immediate boosting abilities, at least. And there are all types of Pokemon that have much stronger damage output with boosting abilities in this hack. Not that Poliwrath is weak. I mean, he's very strong. He always should have been this strong, in my opinion. I don't know what the hell. I don't know why. I mean, I know it's like Gen 1, but I feel like if Poliwrath had made like Gen 5, he would have had like at least 130 attack. Because look at him. He kind of gives me Darmanitan vibes, I guess, like in terms of his like body proportions. Like he's just a big punchy guy. I don't know. I really like him having a big attack stat. And then his speed is a little bit lower, just number one for logical reasons, and number two because it's kind of overkill anyways to have 70 base speed with Swift Swim in a ROM hack like this, because you're probably going to outspeed the majority of things. For example, say hypothetically speaking, you got, I'm just going to give you the neutral speed nature and 15 speed IVs, which is like pretty fair. You're still hitting 406 speed with max investment, so you don't even need max investment for most boss fights. Say you want to outspeed a base 120 speed Pokemon, you'd only need about like 190-ish, 180-ish speed EVs to outspeed base 120 speed plus speed nature Pokemon. So in general, you can speed creep your EVs with Swift Swim and outspeed specific Pokemon that you need to actually outspeed. You also have priority in the form of Aqua Jet and Mach Punch and Sucker Punch and First Impression, which most Pokemon get in this hack. Doesn't make them any less great on Poliwrath, though. Your other ability is also incredible. Not only is he a beast in the rain, which is also buffed, by the way, both Politoed and Poliwrath benefit from this. The Damp Rock now extends by 6 turns as opposed to 3, so that was done specifically for Team Lock Nuzlockers who don't have the freedom to just switch their team around at will, so they can have the rain and have it last a long time without having to run like for example, without most Pokemon getting switch moves, self-setting Sunny Day or Rain Dance is kind of mid, because you only get, what, like 5 full turns by the time it's, finished up, by the time you switch into your Poliwrath. But now, because of the fact that most Pokemon get access to switch moves, pretty much every Pokemon in the game gets at least one switch move in the form of U-turn, parting, Thunder, Volt Switch. That means you can just use buffed Damp Rock in conjunction with Rain Dance, which most Pokemon also learn via TM, and then you can switch into your Poliwrath and go crazy. So that's really fun. Another thing I need to mention, by the way, if you aren't looking at the Google Sheet down below the description, there's tons of other Held Item buffs and changes in this hack, so definitely give those a look. A bunch of other really interesting and useful guides here on this Google Sheet, as you can see on the bottom. But yeah, back on topic. Poliwrath is also super tanky, 95, 95, 90, very, very good bulk, solid typing defensively, and great typing offensively. He's got all types of great moves. You can even run a really funny, actually genuinely good mixed set in the rain with Hydro Cannon, which drops your special attack stat by 2. Because you learn Hydro Cannon so early at level 45, you also get stuff like Mud Bomb and Muddy Water, which is very strong, and those are also pretty early on. So in general, Poliwrath can actually take advantage of that 70 base special attack to a decent extent. Obviously, maybe not late game, but I do think that Hydro Cannon mixed in the rain, especially for Ula Element, is genuinely a really good option, because you don't, the special attack drop doesn't matter. Not to mention Hydro Cannon is still very strong in the rain. And will still kill things that you want to kill, and then you don't have to worry about. It's just cool. It's cool for certain situations. I think it's a little situational. Maybe not the most worth it, but it's definitely worth running for some fights, at least, if you have the freedom or, the specific strategy to go about that. But in general, Stamina, I didn't cover that yet, but stamina in general, when I give that to a Pokemon, it's either 1, because it's a ride type Pokemon, or number 2, because the Pokedex explicitly says that it has like great endurance or stamina, and because it fits their vibe. I think Poliwrath's stamina fits really well, and if you read the Pokedex, it talks about how it's never fatigued. Its highly developed muscles never grow fatigued. However much it exercises, it can swim back and forth across the Pacific Ocean without any effort. They might also say the word stamina word for word, but I mean, even if it doesn't, yeah, it doesn't say stamina word for word, but like, that's literally the definition of stamina. So it's like the same vibe as Mudsdale. You know, Mudsdale is like a workhorse, he works. So that's why I give stamina to more Pokemon, and that's a really, really good ability for Poliwrath. You can use Assault Vest with stamina plus Drain Punch, or you have Reliable Recovery, which is Rehydrate. That move is essentially water type recover, so you can use that with Poliwrath and rack up stamina boost that way as well. You can also use stamina plus Bulk Up, or even Calm Mind technically. That's actually genuinely pretty decent with Rehydrate and Calm Mind. Keep in mind that crit moves will bypass through any defensive boosts that stamina has. There are dozens of new crit moves that, you can see those all on the Google Sheet down below. In this case, Poliwrath does learn Storm Throw, and he also has First Impression and Surging Strikes, all of which will always crit, so that's pretty cool. Just for an example of crit moves, but there's dozens of them if you're new here, so do give those a look. Yeah, great coverage. I mean, you got Ice Hammer and also just Ice Punch and, fighting moves. It's just got so. I'm not going to bother listing every single thing. Hopefully you can just see on screen and, see what they have. Politoed is even more coverage, and physical Politoed is a bit of a meme, but I did give it early Belly Drum at 39 and other good physical moves pretty early on. Politoed in general is just a good, like, decently fast, decently bulky utility Pokemon. 105 special attack in the rain is very strong. It's got very strong, water type moves. It's got good bulk. It's a pure water type. It's bulky. Gooey. I like Gooey because, number one, that means, like, well, first of all, Gooey makes a lot of sense on Poliwrath and Politoed. It makes a lot of sense. And number two, what's it called? Poliwhirl has Swift Swim and Gooey, and then Swift Swim stays for Poliwrath and Gooey stays for Politoed. And then it's kind of cool because then Gooey and Stamina both only function when you get attacked, and then Swift Swim and Drizzle are like rain-related abilities, so I do think the abilities work out really nicely. But in terms of like mechanics, which is obviously the more important thing, Gooey might seem like really situational, and it is, but in this ROM hack you do have access to infinite use ability capsules, so what you can do is, for example, especially if you're doing a team lock Nuzlocke, you're not always going to want that rain up. That rain can actually potentially hinder your strategies. It can hurt your ally, nerf your allies, it can strengthen the opponent too much, it can override another weather that you're trying to use at that time. There's all types of different reasons that you wouldn't want Drizzle for a certain boss fight. So Gooey is useful not only just to not have Drizzle for certain fights, but also because Gooey is good for totems especially. So what you can do is you can switch in your Politoed, you can use Rehydrate to heal yourself, and you can just rack up speed drops on the totem, and then you can Parting Shot into your next Pokemon to outspeed the totem. And you can do that for regular Pokemon too. It's just a lot more situational versus trainers, but it's still useful. You can definitely be really strategic with it and actually take advantage of Gooey. But ultimately, it is a very situational ability, which is fine. They're not always all going to be perfectly 50-50. In fact, in most cases, it's usually there's a situational one that's really good in certain situations, and then there's like the more main ability that is actually bad in some situations. That's how it sometimes ends up being, and this is one of those cases. But yeah, Politoed has other great utility, like Battle Cry is huge on like such a decently fast, like bulky, pure water type. Rehydrate, like I said, tons of great coverage moves. It's very straightforward. It's very boring. I would never use Politoed personally over Poliwrath because I just think Politoed is way cooler and more fun. But Politoed is great. Very, very good Pokemon. Even I would only ever use Politoed personally if I needed the rain, if I had like another rain abuser on my team. But even then, you still have the buffed rain dance with the Parting Shot and stuff, so I don't see why you would really need it. But if you like Politoed, I'm sure you love these buffs. I mean, it's good buffs. It's just Politoed is like kind of a boring Pokemon, so there's not too many crazy abilities that fit it. It's just a fucking frog. Like, I consider it competitive, but honestly, like, with the 95 base speed and only pure water type, Gooey is actually low-key better, because if you want power boost, you'd probably just run Drizzle, I don't know. Competitive is kind of mid. It's not, this isn't competitive battling, so you're not going to have to worry about, like default or getting a free special attack boost from that or anything like that at all. Parting Shot is relatively common, but it's very common in terms of Pokemon that get it, but for the AI, it's not. It'll be on a lot of Pokemon for Vitals because it does add some layers to the boss fights, because then they can actually switch out using that move. But I don't know, it's competitive just feels kind of mid, and it's also like the logic is kind of shaky. It's not that weird, but it's kind of shaky. Gooey is very fitting though. It's literally just a frog. So, and Poliwhirl's like Dex injuries all talk about it being super slimy. But yeah, otherwise it's got great coverage. Both of them have great coverage, great utility moves, a bunch of really cool little things that I'm not even going to bother covering, but I'll just list them off really quickly. Like you got Encore, you've got Water Sport, which is priority in time for Totem Marowak. You've got Soak, which is really good for totems. You've got Priority Haze. You've got Skirmish, which drops attack and special attack by 1, which works good with stamina if you want to keep that. But you also just have like Drain Punch and shit, which works really well with stamina as well. You've got Hypnosis, Z Mind Reader, which gives you plus special attack, which you could use under Swift Swim. Kind of a funny little meme. Maybe not like the best thing in the world, but it's definitely kind of funny. Wake Up Slap is priority, 1 PP, always flinches, works good in conjunction with Hypnosis, which is 85% accurate, 80% accurate, and always lasts for 2 turns. Amnesia is pretty good, very good actually with stamina. You know, it's just got really good stuff overall. And Poliwrath with stamina obviously is incredibly bulky. You got Belly Drum at level 70, which is literally the end of the game. You'll only have that for like 5 main game boss fights, but you know, including the league, or not including the league, probably like, actually probably about 8 including the league. I don't know, not a lot, all right? You have to like Gladion, Habu, in the league mostly, which is fine because it's pretty strong. I mean, they're really bulky, and you have priority dual stab, and also Sucker Punch, so like Belly Drum's good. Yeah, Knockout Punch, you got all types of fun things, all right? You can check out what all these moves do down in the description below, but overall, these guys are the goats. Very, very strong, very, very fun to use. I really like it, the buffs for them, especially Poliwrath. Appreciate you listening this far into the video. Let me know down below in the comment section what you think, and leave a comment if you listened this far, and shout out to you. Peace out, y'all.